After Chinese leader Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin made joint statements in Moscow about plans to reshape the post-Second World War world order, voices in the United States began to grow that global security was no longer at the same level as before. In a report entitled "Winning the New Cold War: A Plan to Counter China," the authors called the Chinese Communist Party the permanent and most consequential threat to the American people. The senator, recalling how the Soviet Union disintegrated in 1991 and the Cold War ended with it, suggested that the era of a unipolar world in which America was the world's only superpower was then over. Today, we are a country that has an almost equal competitor with the same power, but with hostile intentions. We have never lived in such a world, and most of our policies and approaches to this day are based on that notion of a world that no longer exists, the senator stated, noting that China has been a rich and powerful country throughout history, except for the last 150-200 years when the United States has succeeded. So today the historical rivalry has returned. The second part of the report, which the authors call the crux of the plan, details 48 separate issues along fault line in Sino-American relations, which boil down to the general. What does America need to do to protect and ensure United States prosperity, to redirect defense capabilities appropriately, and to hold China accountable by reducing the influence of the Chinese Communist Party? The report's 100 recommendations range from the need for export controls to the inadmissibility of lobbying China's interests in the United States. The report cites examples of the Communist Party of China organized espionage, intellectual property theft, and attempts to export from the United States strategically important minerals for the country. We are in a conflict. It's a geopolitical, diplomatic, public, and technological conflict, a commercial and trade conflict on all levels, and at some point, there could be a military confrontation as well. The senator explained that today's People's Republic of China is not just a country that seeks to replace the United States. China intends to become the most powerful power and to refocus the whole world on itself. China openly says that they are ready to crush the heads of capitalists and spill the blood of those who dare to challenge their country. China views the West in general, and America in particular, as an empty and in rapid decline world. The senator called Xi Jinping's regime a tyranny that does not believe in human rights. Recalling the Tiananmen Square events, concentration camps for Uyghur Muslims, the destruction of Tibetan culture, and other manifestations of totalitarianism in China. China insists that the Western model, which includes freedom and democracy, is chaos and promises security and stability at the expense of freedom. This is what tyranny always promises. Give up your freedom, your rights, and I will take care of security. And in the end, people lose both rights and security. China wants to take us back to where humanity has lived for thousands of years, with the exception of the last 200, to a world where there is no longer the notion that people have rights. First of all, we need to bring the American spirit back to schools and communities by funding programs that talk about the United States and its diverse community. Secondly, we need to refocus the economy, because the United States depends on the supply of many goods from China, most of which are of strategic importance to America. One of the real problems identified by the pandemic has been the vulnerability of long supply chains, and our supply chains are tied to the other side of the world altogether, and they are disproportionately in the hands of our geopolitical adversary. For example, the trade wars in the technology sector between the United States and Japan in the 1970s and 1980s, which were won by Reagan, who opposed a policy of fair international trade mercantilism. Finally, just as important to counter China is the revival of fair competition in all spheres of life. Fortunately, in the political field in the United States, there is a growing bipartisan consensus that something must now be done about all this. According to the authors of the report, already today it is necessary to block a lot of things coming from the Communist Party of China. For example, the United States Treasury Department should start to monitor and analyze outgoing United States investment in China. Thank you for watching this video to the end. Subscribe to the channel and write your opinion in the comments.